stay home. Coronavirus update for March 23rd. Welcome back to another video from the Living Korea channel. Today it's another update on the coronavirus, or maybe on what's going on in the world of corona. And I'm once again recording from the inside because I've got nowhere else to go. And 7 things I want to discuss today, maybe 6. I'm not sure exactly, 7 or 6. Korea urges its citizens to remain at home. For the past 2 or 3 days, on a daily basis, or almost an hourly basis it seems, the Korean government has been sending out messages, phone messages to people, urging them to stay indoors. The goal is to have the schools back up and running on the 6th of April, which means that there are only 2 weeks left. And I guess the government, as well as the education system and everybody else, is feeling the pressure because the time that we're spending right now in isolation at home is the time that's being taken away from all the students, is the time of their education. And that is the time that's probably going to be deducted later on during the summer months. So this is essentially the kids' summer vacation, which kind of sucks because I get the feeling that there won't be any summer vacations for these kids this summer. This is it. It's the COVID vacation. So in order to have everything back on track, the Korean government is urging people to stay indoors for the next 2 weeks. And I guess the idea is that if everyone remains under self-quarantine for the next 2 weeks, which is kind of the approximate duration or incubation period for the virus, then the coast should be clear and the virus should kind of kill itself off, hopefully, so that by the 6th of April, we'll all be able to kind of go back to normal. Additionally, I think there is a fear that if the school closures are postponed even further, somehow in some convoluted way, this might affect the Sunung, which is the university entrance exam here in South Korea, which is kind of like the SAT back in the States and whatever the heck the Canadian equivalent is. The problem is though that a lot of people seem to be becoming very relaxed about the whole corona situation. Streets are filling up with people, restaurants are filling up with people, there's a lot more people walking around, there's a lot more people visiting restaurants, which is kind of problematic because, you know, it's counterintuitive. People are just getting fed up, which again is the reason why the government's sending messages on a daily basis. I think I've received 5 or 6 already today in the past 4 hours, urging people to stay indoors to keep the spread of the virus from continuing to spread. Point number 2, the number of reported cases here in Korea is dropping. And with the encouraged self-quarantine, hopefully this will continue. Right now, today, there were about 74 reported cases, new cases in South Korea, which is a very small number and it's definitely smaller than it was yesterday. On the other hand, the numbers in other countries, the ones that I mentioned previously, Italy, USA, Spain, Germany, Iran, and France, have superseded Korea, and it seems like Switzerland is just on its tail and it might be passing Korea within the next week by the looks of it. I will post the link to the chart below the video. It's a good website that keeps track as well as other statistics listed about the COVID-19 virus. Point number 3. If you haven't seen Serpentza and LaoWhy videos, check them out. According to those 2 fellas, there is a strange occurrence happening in China. It seems that the number of cases in China is drastically smaller than you would expect, even though it was about 2 months prior to the CCP, the Chinese Communist government, actually realizing what was happening in the country. So it's strange to see that Italy, a country that was well aware of what was going on with the virus, is having a number of cases being reported that is very close to that of China, and the number of deaths has actually surpassed that of China. So that's kind of strange because the population of Italy is this big, while the population of China is that big. 1.2 billion versus Italy's 60 million. So while the virus raged unchecked in China for 2 months prior to any intervention, it is strange to think that there aren't any more cases, and certainly it's strange to think that there are more deaths in a country like Italy than there would be in China. So there could be a possibility of the CCP misrepresenting the numbers. And there were a couple of sources that I talked about in a previous podcast on the Living Korea channel that were blatantly saying that the numbers that the CCP reported were misrepresented, were completely wrong, and that the actual numbers are very, very different. Serpentza and LaoWhy say the exact same thing. I will post the link to their video below this video, so check it out if you're interested. They're a couple of cool guys with a lot of insight to China, having lived there for a long time, so might be worth a watch. Number 4, when it comes to comparing Italy to Korea, one might ask, why are the numbers of deaths reported as a result of the Covid19 virus so much higher in Italy than they are in Korea? Here's one possibility. Korea as a society is not a very touchy, feely kind of place. Italy, on the other hand, is very well known for its romanticism, or whatever you want to call it, yeah? But the point is that in Korea, people don't get too close. There isn't a lot of close contact. Even when people meet, things like shaking hands is very rarely practiced, and certainly there is never ever any kissing or anything of that sort. Italy, on the other hand, people have a lot more close contact. People hug a lot more, just like back home in Canada. Or friends, I guess people kiss on the cheek. I don't really know how people do that in Italy. I haven't really spent much time in Italy, but I can imagine that it's a lot different than what it is in Korea. So the individual proximity between people in Korea versus people in Italy the distancing, so to speak, is wider in Korea than it would be in Italy, and possibly that's the reason for this faster spread of things. So it could be something related to cultural differences. Or if you wanted to go the conspiratorial route, then you could ask yourself about the sudden jump in reported cases amongst celebrities and such. The first celebrity I heard of was Tom Hanks and his wife. I didn't realize they were not the only ones. There's a whole list of people. People like Placido Domingo, Sabrina Dorielba, Debbie Mazar, David Bryan, Andy Cohen, Colton Underwood, Daniel D. Kim, Kanika Kapoor, Prince Albert. Granted, most of these people I don't even know. Indira Varma, Rachel Matthews, NBA star Kevin Durant, Christopher De Leon, Idris Elba, Olga Kurilenko, Christopher Hivju, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Sophie Gregory Trudeau, and I believe Justin Trudeau, which is the Prime Minister of Canada. Holy mackerel. I guess maybe they hung out too much with the British Queen or Prince Albert. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, obviously we know those are the people that we've heard of the most, and the European football stars. 7 football players including Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi and Arsenal manager Mike Arteta also tested positive for the COVID-19. Read more here. I'm not going to. Most of these people I don't know. I have no idea why. Probably because I'm so disconnected with the whole celebrity gossip. I just don't give a. Bill Gates stepped down from the managing board of directors for Microsoft as well as Berkshire Hathaway. Why are these events all happening all of a sudden? Who knows? But like I said, if you want to go to the conspiratorial route, I will post a video below that might answer some of your questions, if that's what you're into. The 6th point that I want to talk about was some advice on helping how to prevent the virus. And not to prevent, but hopefully maybe how to deal with symptoms. Presuming that the coronavirus is somewhat similar to a flu, which it technically is, possibly. Some of the videos that I heard and some of the information that I received and I came across suggested there's some things that you can do which may be helpful in preventing the spread of the virus within your body. So the suggestion is that the reason for the 2 weeks of the incubation period is that the virus initially lodges itself in the person's throat before it actually becomes active. And that is the happy time for the virus, during which the person can spread it by coughing and sneezing and doing whatever else they do to other people around themselves. And the way that I understand is the virus lodges itself in the person's throat, where it sits for a duration of time. It causes the person to cough, and it's a dry cough because there is really nothing happening in the lungs just yet. It only affects your throat. You are made to have a dry cough, which occurs it irritates your soft tissue inside your throat, and that's how the virus gets into your body and wreaks havoc. Now, I don't know if that's how it works exactly. There's a lot of other videos online that you should watch and find out for yourself. But the information that I came across suggested that from physicians, like Dr. Mike, I will post his video below this video as well, suggested that gargling with salt water would be an advisable step, suggesting that if it is inside your throat for the time being, and if you're having a cough that is dry and kind of ominous, then gargling with salt water or vinegar water or even lemon water might actually neutralize the virus before it enters your system and creates havoc. There's a lot of other stuff that you could do. I will post a video below, but again, don't take that video at its word. Find out more. Check out the video by Dr. Mike. He talks about things that are similar to this. None of it is confirmed. This is still a very new virus, and doctors don't really know a lot about it themselves. So whatever we hear are just things from people that have experienced it themselves and are going through it themselves as well right now. The most recent YouTuber that I know of, by the name of Dan Mays, who's Casey Neistat's closest friend, just released a video today or yesterday announcing that he has been diagnosed with the coronavirus, and he posted a video explaining his symptoms and what he's going through and what he went through in order to share his understanding of what's going on with his body and his situation for the rest of the world. So I will post that video below this video as well, so you can have a look and see what he's going through. And talking about things that people are going through, turns out that the medical system in Korea may not be as great as it should be. I guess it could be a lot worse if you were living in China, possibly as an expat. In Korea, we are told that any emergency, there are messages sent out and people are encouraged to call the system if you have any symptoms. And apparently there is service in English, but as it turns out, I have heard from a reliable source who has gone through this ordeal themselves, it's not 100% fail-safe. The person I talked to was experiencing some serious aches, and I guess he was going through a mild or severe form of a flu. He was panicking. He called the COVID emergency number. He asked them for advice. They directed him to a hospital. They basically told him that he needs to call a hospital. They gave him a hospital number. He called the hospital number, at which point he was told that they didn't have any English service, and he was told to bring a Korean friend with him to the hospital so that they could help him. His concern was that if he had a Korean friend that he could bring with him, then he would be putting his friend at risk. Point of the story is, the system is not 100% set up to deal with people who don't function in the native language of Korean. The English services are there, but they're not really there. They're only there on the surface, but not so much underneath. Just like so many softwares that were developed by banks, and they offer English service on the front page with buttons that say English and things are in English, but as soon as you click that button, you get directed to another website which is entirely in Korean, and you're having a hard time dealing with it. It's getting a little better, but there's still a lot of work to do. But from what I understand, it's a lot worse in China. You can check out the LaoWhy and Serpentza and LaoWhy video below. So that's it. That's a quick little update for the coronavirus for today. Make sure to wash your hands, make sure to wear a mask, and for the love of all that is mighty, for the next 2 weeks, if you're in Korea, do us all a favor, just stay in the house. Don't run around shouting conspiracy this and conspiracy that, and social distancing is a means of separating people and not letting us communicate. It's only 2 weeks. It's not gonna kill you. Well, it could kill you technically because it's killing a lot of other people. So for better or for worse, let's just take the time for the 2 weeks in Korea, lock ourselves up, stay away from crowds, and try to get rid of this thing. The only concern I have, and I've heard other people mention it as well, is let's hope that this isn't used later as a means to control the populace and large for other things. Having a curfew would suck. Last time I was in a curfew was when I was a little kid. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, like the video. It really helps me out to create more content about South Korea, which is a very small niche, but it's very competitive. And I hope to see you in the next video. Laters.